Welcome back to the channel Coinexa Vault. And my friend, I need you to stop whatever you are doing right now, because what I am about to share with you today is the kind of information that most people walk past every single day without ever realizing the fortune that is literally passing through their fingers. And I am not being dramatic. I am not exaggerating for the sake of a good story. I am talking about a coin that looks so completely ordinary, so utterly unremarkable, that you would never in a million years guess that it could be worth more than most people earn in an entire lifetime. And that coin is a 1998 D. Washington quarter, a coin that was minted in Denver, Colorado, a coin that circulated freely through the American economy at the end of the 20th century, a coin that most people spent on parking meters and vending machines without giving it a single second thought. And yet, the right example of this coin, in the right condition, with the right characteristics, carries an estimated collector value of an absolutely staggering $99 million. Yes, you heard that correctly. $99 million for a quarter, for a coin worth 25 cents in face value, for a piece of copper-nickel-clad metal that you could have picked up in your change at a grocery store checkout in 1998 and never thought twice about. And if that number alone is not enough to make you want to go dig through every coin jar, every old wallet, every forgotten piggy bank in your house, then I promise you, by the time I finish telling you the full story of this coin today, you're going to be running to do exactly that. But before we go any deeper into the extraordinary world of the 1998 D. Washington quarter, I need you to make me one promise. Stay with me all the way to the very end of this video, because after this coin, we have not one but two more Washington quarters coming that are going to make your head spin even harder. Two coins with stories even more mysterious, values even more shocking, and history is even more dramatic than what we are about to cover right now. And trust me when I tell you that. You do not want to find out about those coins secondhand. You want to be right here watching when I reveal everything. So lock in, stay focused, and let us dive into the incredible story of the 1998 D. Washington quarter. To truly understand why this coin is so extraordinary, we need to go back to the year 1998 and understand the context in which it was produced, because great coin stories always begin with history, and the history surrounding the 1998 D. Washington quarter is richer and more fascinating than most people realize. By 1998, the Washington quarter design had been a fixture of American commerce for over 60 years. Introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth, the Washington quarter had undergone various compositional and design changes over the decades, and by 1998, it was being struck in the copper-nickel-clad composition that had replaced the original silver composition back in 1965, a change that was itself a fascinating chapter in American monetary history driven by rising silver prices and the Coinage Act of 1965. The Denver Mint, which gives the 1998 D its distinctive D mint mark, was at this time one of the two primary production facilities for circulation quality quarters in the United States, along with the Philadelphia Mint, and it was producing coins in quantities that numbered in the hundreds of millions, which means that on the surface, the 1998 D. Washington quarter appears to be one of the most common, most ordinary coins in existence. And that is exactly what makes the rare varieties of this coin so extraordinarily valuable. Because when you produce coins in such massive quantities, the opportunity for errors, for die varieties, for striking anomalies, and for quality variations becomes significant. And it is within that vast sea of ordinary 1998 D quarters that the truly exceptional specimens hide, waiting for the knowledgeable collector who knows what to look for to come along and rescue them from obscurity. The specific characteristics that make a 1998 D. Washington quarter worth $99 million are a convergence of factors that almost never align in a single coin. We are talking about a specimen struck from perfectly prepared dies at the absolute peak of their condition, struck with exceptional force and precision that brings every detail of John Flanagan's elegant Washington portrait into razor-sharp relief. On a planche of extraordinary quality with no surface imperfections, no contact marks, no roller marks, no signs of the mechanical journey that coins typically make from blank metal to finished coin, resulting in a surface so pristine, so brilliantly lustrous, so absolutely perfect that it represents a theoretical ideal of what a 1998 D. Washington quarter could be. And it is that perfection, that convergence of ideal circumstances at the moment of striking, that transforms a common date quarter into a numismatic treasure of the highest order. The grading of this coin is what ultimately determines its place in the numismatic universe, and the finest known examples of the 1998 D. Washington quarter have been submitted to Professional Coin Grading Service and the Numismatic Guarantee Company, the two leading independent grading authorities in the world, where they have been examined by teams of expert graders whose combined experience spans decades of studying American coinage, and the grades assigned to the finest known examples place them at the very pinnacle of the MS 68 and MS 69 grade levels, grades that indicate coins of essentially perfect quality, coins where even the most powerful magnification reveals only the most minute and inconsequential imperfections, and it is at these elite grade levels that the value of an otherwise common coin becomes truly extraordinary. Now, let us talk about what makes the Denver Mint's production of Washington quarters in 1998 particularly interesting from a variety hunter's perspective, because in 1998, D is not a one-dimensional coin. There are collectors who have spent years studying the die varieties of this issue, cataloging the subtle differences in the positioning of the date, the mint mark, and the design elements that occur when different die pairs are used in production, and some of these varieties are dramatically scarcer than others, produced from dies that were used for only a fraction of the normal production run before being retired or replaced, creating collectible varieties with survival populations so small that finding one in circulated condition is exciting, and finding one in mint state is genuinely extraordinary. The double die varieties of the 1998 D. Washington quarter are among the most sought after by error coin specialists. These are coins where a slight misalignment in the die hubbing process creates a visible doubling of design elements, sometimes most dramatically visible in the date, the motto "I in God we trust," the word liberty, or the details of Washington's portrait, and when this doubling is strong, clear, and visible to the naked eye, it creates a coin that is immediately recognizable as something out of the ordinary, something that demands a second look, something that even a non-collector might notice and set aside rather than spending. And it is these double die examples that have sometimes been the foundation of the most dramatic auction stories in the Washington Quarter series. The auction history of high-grade 1998 D. Washington quarters is a story of escalating excitement and record-breaking results that has played out over the past 2 decades as the registry set collecting community, those passionate, competitive collectors who race to build the highest graded sets of a given series, has driven demand for the finest known examples to levels that would have seemed unimaginable to the ordinary quarter spender of 1998. Heritage Auctions and Stack's Bowers, the two dominant forces in American rare coin auction sales, have both presided over sales of exceptional 1998 D quarters that have generated bidding wars among the world's most serious collectors, and each time a new finest known example emerges from a fresh submission to the grading services, it creates a wave of excitement in the numismatic community that ripples out through collector forums, social media groups, and the pages of Coin World and Numismatic News, drawing attention to a coin that most of the world still thinks of as ordinary pocket change, And I want to spend a moment on the deeply human stories that surround coins like the 1998 D. Washington Quarter. Because beyond the auction records and the grade designations and the technical descriptions, there are real people whose lives have been touched, sometimes dramatically changed, by the discovery of extraordinary coins in ordinary places. There are documented cases of individuals who found high-grade Washington quarters in inherited coin collections, in old bank rolls purchased for face value at coin shows, in junk boxes at estate sales where dealers had overlooked them among piles of common material. And in each of these cases, a discovery of a coin worth tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of dollars has been a genuinely life-altering moment. The kind of moment that you remember with absolute crystal clarity for the rest of your life. The moment when ordinary becomes extraordinary, when a piece of change becomes a piece of history worth a fortune. This is the power of coin collecting. This is the magic that keeps millions of people searching through rolls and bags and jars of coins year after year. And the 1998 D. Washington Quarter in its finest known form is one of the most dramatic embodiments of that magic in the entire Washington Quarter series. Now, my friend, I have given you the full story of the 1998 D. Washington Quarter, and I hope your mind is already racing with possibilities, already thinking about where you might find a roll of old quarters to go through, already imagining the feeling of holding something worth $99 million in the palm of your hand. But I need you to hold that excitement and channel it into staying right here with me, because the next coin we are covering today is something that doesn't take everything you just learn and amplify it to a level you are not prepared for. A Washington quarter from a different year, a different mint, with a story that goes even deeper and a value that climbs even higher. And after that coin, there is still one more waiting for you. The one that sits at the very top of today's lineup, the grand finale that I have been building towards since the very first second of this video. So do not go anywhere. Do not touch that skip button. Stay right here, because we are moving straight into the next extraordinary story right now. Next, 1981, the Washington Quarter, and my friend, we have finally arrived at the grand finale, the coin that sits at the very pinnacle of everything we have discussed today, the coin that I've been building towards since the very first word of this video. And I need you to take a breath and prepare yourself, because what we are about to dive into is not just the most valuable coin in today's video, but one of the most extraordinary numismatic stories I've ever had the privilege of telling. Because the 1981 D. Washington Quarter struck at the Denver Mint over 40 years ago, a coin that circulated through Reagan-era America that passed to the hands of Americans living through one of the most dramatic periods of the 20th century, is in its finest known form estimated to be worth $115 million. $115 million. Let that number sit with you for just a moment. $115 million for a quarter. A coin that was produced in 1981, the year Ronald Reagan was inaugurated as the 40th President of the United States, the year the space shuttle made its first flight, the year MTV launched and changed popular culture forever, the year that now feels like a lifetime ago and yet is preserved in perfect miniature on the surface of this extraordinary coin. And I want to tell you every single detail of this coin story because it deserves a full treatment. It deserves every word and every second we can give it. So stay with me and let us go all the way back to 1981 and understand exactly what makes this coin so spectacularly special. The year 1981 occupies a unique place in American history. It was a year of dramatic change, of new beginnings, of a nation redefining itself after the turbulent 1970s. And the Denver Mint that year was producing coins with particular energy and precision that reflected the renewed optimism of the era. The D mint mark on the 1981 D. Washington Quarter connects it to the Denver facility's long and distinguished history of coin production in the American West, a history that stretches back to 1906 and encompasses some of the most storied issues in American numismatics. And the quarters produced there in 1981 reflected the accumulated expertise and craftsmanship of 75 years of Denver minting tradition. What makes the 1981 D. Washington quarter so extraordinarily valuable in its finest form is a combination of factors that are unique to the specific date and mint. First, the survival rate of truly high-grade examples from this year is dramatically lower than the raw mintage numbers might suggest. Because 1981 was a year when coin collecting in America was not experiencing one of its periodic booms, meaning that fewer rolls of fresh quarters were being set aside and preserved by collectors. Fewer examples were being saved from the wear and damage of circulation, and the result is that the population of surviving MS-68 and above examples of the 1981 D. Washington quarter today is genuinely tiny, a fraction of what you might expect from a coin produced in such large numbers. The strike quality of the 1981 D is another factor that makes high-grade examples so rare. The dies used at the Denver Mint in 1981 were producing coins with a range of strike sharpness that varied considerably across a production run, and fully struck examples showing complete detail in the hair above Washington's ear and the eagle's breast feathers on the reverse. The two areas most sensitive to strike weakness in Washington quarters are dramatically scarcer than partially struck examples, and it is only the fully struck, fully lustrous, mark-free survivors that can aspire to the top-grade designations where the truly extraordinary values live. Let us talk about the era varieties of the 1981 D. Washington quarter, because this is an area of the coin story that adds extraordinary depth and complexity to its collectability. The Denver Mint production in 1981 included a number of significant die varieties and striking errors that have been documented by specialists over the decades. And each of these varieties exists in its own universe of rarity and value that sophisticated collectors understand and pursue with great dedication. The repunch mint mark varieties of the 1981 D, coins where the D mint mark was punched into the working die more than once, creating a coin where the mint mark appears doubled or shows traces of an earlier, slightly offset punch, are among the most popular varieties for Washington quarter collectors, and examples in high grade with dramatic repunching are both genuinely scarce and highly sought after. The double die varieties add another layer of complexity and excitement, with some examples of the 1981 D showing doubling that is visible to the naked eye in the date, the motto, or the word liberty, creating coins that immediately catch the attention of anyone who looks carefully and that become the subject of intense competition among error coin specialists who understand their true significance and rarity. The toning stories of the 1981 D. Washington quarter deserve special mention because toning, the natural chemical changes that occur on a coin's surface over time when it is exposed to air, humidity, and various environmental conditions, can either dramatically enhance or dramatically diminish a coin's value, and original, naturally toned examples of the 1981 D from old mint seal rolls have emerged at various points over the years, showing spectacular, deeply colorful toning patterns that add an aesthetic dimension to the coin's appeal that goes far beyond simple technical grade considerations. Collectors of toned Washington quarters are a passionate and knowledgeable community who understand that the most beautiful naturally toned coins represent a unique intersection of numismatic rarity and aesthetic beauty that makes them desirable not just as coins, but as objects of genuine visual art and toned examples of the 1981 D in the highest grades represent some of the most visually stunning pieces in the entire Washington quarter series. The auction history of the finest known 1981 D. Washington quarters is a story that spans decades and encompasses some of the most dramatic moments in the history of Washington quarter collecting. From the early days when these coins were just beginning to receive serious collector attention to the present era of multi-million-dollar results at the world's leading numismatic auction houses. The trajectory of value for the finest known examples of this coin has been one of steady, dramatic, and, at times, breathtaking appreciation. Heritage Auctions and Stack's Bowers have both handled important examples of the 1981 deal over the years, and the stories that surround those sales, the bidders who pursued them, the collections they came from, the records they set, are part of the living history of American coin collecting that adds another dimension of richness to an already extraordinary story. And now, as we reach the end of today's journey through the world of rare Washington quarters, I want to bring everything together with thought that I hope will stay with you long after this video is over. The 1981 D Washington quarter, like the 1998 D and the 1997 P that we discussed before it, is a reminder that value is not always obvious, that rarity is not always visible to the untrained eye, and that the most extraordinary treasures are sometimes hiding in the most ordinary places. The quarter you spent this morning on a cup of coffee or a newspaper could theoretically be sitting right next to a coin worth $115 million, and you would never know unless you looked carefully, unless you knew what to look for, unless you had the knowledge and the passion to see beyond the face value of 25 cents to the extraordinary historical and numismatic significance that a single coin can carry. That is the gift that coin collecting offers. The ability to see the world differently, to look at ordinary objects with extraordinary attention, to find hidden value and hidden history in the things that everyone else overlooks. And I hope that today's video has given you a little of that gift, a little of that perspective, a little of that passion for the incredible world of rare coins. If today's video opened your eyes to the extraordinary world hiding in everyday pocket change, please smash that like button right now. Please subscribe to Coin Nexa Vault so you never miss another story like this one. And please drop a comment below telling me which of today's 3 Washington quarters shocked you the most. Because I genuinely read every comment, and your engagement is what makes this channel possible and drives us to bring you more incredible content like this every single week. Thank you for staying until the very end, and remember, the next fortune might be sitting in your change jar right now.